the first 6 months of this year, BYD delivered 326,236 electric cars to take second place worldwide. Now we're talking purely electric cars here. I'm not including plug-in hybrids. Number one was Tesla with 564,000 electric car deliveries. In third place was SAIC with 321,000 deliveries. And in fourth place was the Volkswagen Group with 216,000 deliveries. Fifth, Hyundai Kia with 167,000. I don't see any mention of General Motors on this list whatsoever. Sorry, Mary Barra. Sorry, not sorry. Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking, it's great to see you. I'm going to release the top 20 best-selling EVs in the world, and you're going to notice an interesting trend. It's a very worrying trend, a very concerning trend. Why? Well, because it means something that I think none of us want. But first, a big thank you to our Patreon supporters. Got to call you guys out, got to shout you guys out. Thank you so much for what you do. We wouldn't be here without you. Wonderful to have you. If you want to join the channel and support us on Patreon, I'd really appreciate that. It'd be amazing. Even $1 a month, even, $2, anything is something. I'll put a link in the description below to our Patreon page. Now, to everyone who's subscribed to the channel, you indirectly do support the channel just by doing that as well. So thank you very much for doing that. EV sales in Europe have gone down a little bit lately, but fortunately, other countries have picked up the slack. What this means is that we've seen record EV sales month globally with a 12% share for electric cars in June, 12% worldwide. Now that's purely electric cars worldwide. Now, if we see another doubling, what are we going to hit next year? 24%, right? In the same month next year, in June of next year. What about the following year? 48%, 50%? I think that's what will happen. I know a lot of people think that I'm overly optimistic, but I think it will. What does this mean? The EV disruption that many people have been dreaming about, that it would happen, it's here. It's happening now. Time to celebrate. It is. It's time to celebrate. Have a drink. Do whatever you do to celebrate. It's happening, and it's amazing. Now, a lot has gone wrong. Shit has hit the fan. Seriously, over the last 12 months, COVID, parts disruptions. We've had, chip supply problems. We've had Ukraine and Russia war. We've had bickering. We've had the Kardashians do whatever they do. We've had, all kinds of things go kind of not the way we thought they would. But there's no stopping the EV revolution. In June, plug-in vehicle registrations were up 54% compared to June of 2021. Reaching a record 913,000 units. Obviously, China's production is the key driver behind that. And it's very likely that we're going to see more than 1 million electric vehicles produced in potentially August and September, both months. And after that, there's no turning back. We'll never go under 1 million again for a single month ever in history. Well, maybe not history, but at least for the next 10 to 20 years anyway. Yes, I know some of you are going to be saying, Viking, no. We're going to hit peak car. We're going to be selling a lot less cars because we're going to have electric mobility. We're going to have robo-taxis. I agree. Yeah, you're right. I agree 100%. In the future, car ownership will become a thing that will be rare. In the future, we're a fairly long way off that happening, but I do agree that it will happen. In June, plug-in vehicles, so new energy vehicles, were 16% of the global market. Now, of those, 80% were EVs. Or of the 16% market share of plug-in vehicles, 12% were EVs and 4% were plug-in hybrids. So you can see what's happening. The trend is the same that we're seeing month after month. Plug-in hybrid sales are declining everywhere except China. Electric vehicle sales, purely electric vehicle sales, are continuing to go up. In June, electric vehicles were up 65% year on year, purely electric vehicles. Plug-in hybrids were up 29%. And like I said, that's solely due to the Chinese market. Who were the winners in world plug-in sales? Well, thanks to Clean Technica and Jose Pontes, here is that information. Tesla Model Y was first with 98,000 deliveries. Model 3 in second with nearly 59,000. The Wuling Hongguang Mini EV was third with 46,000. And then, of course, we had 3 different BYD electric cars. In fact, we have 4, followed by the Volkswagen ID4 with 16,500 deliveries. Hang on a minute, media. Hold up. Wait a minute. I bet if you look at what the media said about this time next year, I bet you the media was telling you Volkswagen would be catching up to Tesla by now. They were saying those kinds of things a year ago. Doesn't look like that's happening to me. Who is catching up though? BYD. Now, I know people think I'm being egotistical when I say this, but I did say this a year ago that BYD were going to be doing this, and it's happening. And I did say the Volkswagen wouldn't be doing anything like what BYD are doing, and they're not. And Sandy Munro just said Volkswagen gave up their best electric asset, or their best asset, period. Who was that? Well, what was that? Well, if you want to know what that was, I'll put a link in the description below to my video about that. Next, you got the Li 1 plug-in hybrid, then the GAC Aeon Y, which is a very impressive car. A version of the Aeon will have over 1,000 kilometers range thanks to its semi-solid state battery, which has an energy density of nearly 400 watts per kilo. Then we have the BYD Dolphin, and all the way back down in 20th place, we have the Hyundai Ioniq 5. Now, what is a little bit alarming about this, right, is when you look at this chart, you can see that 18 of the top 20 are either solely manufactured in China or primarily manufactured in China. Tesla Model Y and the Model 3, obviously, we have more of those coming from the Chinese factory than we do from the American factory. But everything else there, every other car on that list, the other 16 out of the 18 cars left, all of them are made solely in China. That is alarming. And I've been predicting this would happen now for a long time. The Chinese now officially have a monopoly on the electric vehicle market. Hopefully Europe and America can wrest some of that monopoly back. We need to. There needs to be some stability here. Can't have that with a monopoly. Now, very clearly, BYD has done really, really well. But who are some other companies that no one's talking about who have also done very well? Well, GAC, Horizon, and Nita are all selling more than 10,000 EVs per month now. So they're ramping up and no one's really talking about them. Imagine if, say, General Motors was selling, the 15,000 EVs per month that some of these companies are selling now. We'd all be saying, wow, look, GM's coming for Tesla. It's really happening, right? It's happening. But we're not, because they're not doing it. These Chinese companies are. And that's kind of sad. Hopefully GM and Ford can get their business sorted and start really ramping up EV production. Now, outside that top 20, we have some EVs that are not from China, right? We have the E208, the Peugeot E208, with 5,765 registrations. We have its cousin, the Fiat 500e, with 7,338. Those are both from Stellantis. Now, Stellantis has been crowing about how they're beating Tesla in Europe. I'm not really convinced that that's entirely true. But anyhow, another car not in this list, which we'll be able to buy in a lot of other countries worldwide, not just China, very soon, is SAIC's MG EZS. Now, it's already on sale in Australia. Very popular car in Australia. They sold a record 6,376. And its plug-in hybrid variant sold 7,318. So between them, they sold around 13,000. And those sales are largely thanks to the European and Australian markets. Now, another car you probably haven't heard about is Dongsheng's Fengshen E series. They sold 7,536 all-electric cars, pretty much all sold to taxi companies. So let's have a look at the numbers for January to June 2022. Now, those numbers, of course, that I just shared with you were just for June. January to June is interesting because it's showing us who's really dominating the electric vehicle market worldwide. Clearly, it's Tesla. First and second place, 315,000 for the Model Y. Model 3, 220,000. Now, everyone was saying when the Model Y came out, it would completely cannibalize, well, not everyone, but most people, completely cannibalize Model Y sales. Or Model Y would cannibalize Model 3 sales. Well, Model 3 sales are still pretty damn impressive. I don't think they're all that cannibalized. What do you think on that? I don't think they've actually changed at all compared to last year. After that, we have the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV with 207,000 deliveries. So it's a close race between the Hongwan Mini EV and the Tesla Model 3. But I don't think that'll be the case by the end of the year, as Tesla is definitely going to sell quite a lot of Model 3s between now and the end of the year. But we'll see. It could still be close by the end of this year. Then, 4th place, 5th place, 6th place, all BYD vehicles, right? The Song Plus, the Chin Plus, and the Han. Then we have the ID4, then the Li Yang 1, then the BYD Dolphin. So as you can see, BYD is doing really well now because they've got the BYD Tang just behind the BYD Dolphin in terms of sales. So that gives BYD 5 of the top 10 best-selling electric cars in the world from January to June 2022. The scary thing about BYD is they're clearly not slowing down. They're speeding up production. They're saying they have 300,000 vehicles being produced monthly by August onwards. I don't know if that's true. The Chinese media are saying that. But if that's the case, then there's no catching them from companies like Volkswagen. That's just not going to happen. Then even in 11th place, you have another BYD vehicle. After that, we have Chery, then Hyundai, then Chang'an, then Chery, then GAC, then Kia, then Horizon, then GAC, then Ford Mustang Mach-E. Well done, Ford. You made it into 20th place worldwide. How many sales did the Ford Mustang Mach-E get from January to June of 2022 over the entire planet? Yeah, they are sold in China as well, so there's that. And that total number was 36,000. Now, as you can see from this list, 80% of it is Chinese. 80% of it is Chinese. 80% of these cars are produced in China. That, unfortunately, is going to be the same situation next year. Maybe by 2024, we'll be looking at a change in that. We'll see more EVs made in Europe and in America. I'm looking forward to seeing that. That'll be good. Now, let's have a look at the best-selling cars were a year ago. Well, last year, the Tesla Model 3 was the undisputed leader with 244,000 deliveries over the first 6 months of the year. And that was actually 10% more than it had this year. But I do wonder if China's factory hadn't been shut down, if Tesla would have actually hit that figure of 244,000 this year. I think it's pretty likely the numbers would have been similar without the Chinese factory being shut down. But it does show you, right, interesting numbers from last year compared to this year. Remember, last year, the Tesla Model 3 was the 9th best-selling car in the world. I'm not talking electric cars. I'm talking cars, period. It nearly outsold the Ford F-Series trucks. Nearly. Not far away. Who was in second place last year? Well, the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV took second. It's now in third place. So it's dropped a place down to third from second. But its sales this year have grown 11% versus the same 6 months of last year. But that growth is very, very slow. And that 11% is really nothing in comparison to the growth of companies like BYD, who have grown 360% this year over the first 6 months versus the last 6 months of last year. NIDA, Horizon, other companies like that in China have grown in the hundreds of percents. So Wuling is not really growing its sales very quickly. One of the key reasons why it has a lot of competitors now. There's lots of competitors in that market space in China. EV sales of the micro EVs in China, they're going up enormously, but lots of other cars providing good options like the Lumin Corn. The Lumin Corn is my choice. I'd prefer that over the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV. I think the Lumin Corn is awesome. I love it. I'll put a link in the description below to my video about the Lumin Corn. You should check that out. So who had the most plug-in vehicle sales? I'm talking plug-in hybrids and electric cars in June 2022. Who are the top leaders? Tesla was in first place with 157,500. BYD took second place with 134,000. SGMW took third place with just under 50,000. Volkswagen took fourth place with 42,000. And BMW were in fifth place with 29,000. However, the next three companies are all Chinese as well. SAIC, 29,000, same as BMW. GAC, 24,000. And Chery with 23,000. Now, Chery is actually coming to different markets around the world within the next year. One of those is Australia. they're bringing an electric car here to Australia, which will be a very similar size to the BYD Atto 3. Don't know what the Atto 3 is? I'll put a link in the description below to some videos about the BYD Atto 3. Now, there's a few more Chinese automakers on this list. There's a few more European automakers, but absent from the list entirely is Ford and General Motors. That is a little bit concerning. Hopefully they get their act together. So you can see Volkswagen actually is doing a lot better now than what it was earlier in the year. It's starting to produce more electric cars, right at the point when they fired Herbert Diess. Not sure I see now, as many of you know, I disagree with him being fired. So does Sandy Munro, so do lots of people. But anyhow, it's happened. It's done. Hopefully he goes to Tesla. Now, Jose Pontes from Clean Technica said something very interesting. He said there were several record scores here, like Dongfeng coming in 11th place with a record 19,854 registrations, Chang'an with 15,000 in number 14, Hozon with 13,000 and number 19. Now, Hozon only make EVs, so no plug-in hybrids for them, just purely electric cars. But the most impressive record performance, says Jose, belonged to Geely, which delivered 19,728 units. That allowed it to reach number 12. China's sleeping giant is awakening. So clearly Jose believes that Geely is a sleeping giant. I'm not so sure. A lot of people have been saying this. So Jose is not alone here. A lot of people have been saying that Geely is a giant. They're going to awaken and sell millions of EVs. But if you actually have a look at Geely's plans for the next few years, it's not really that aggressive when it comes to EV production. They're making lots of models, but not really a whole lot of those models. Sounds a bit like General Motors to me, but clearly they're doing a bit better than GMR right now. Now, if we look at registrations by OEM, and we include plug-in hybrids, then at the end of Q1, Tesla was leading with a 15.5% market share worldwide. That's a 1.2 percentage point advantage over BYD. But now, BYD is the leader with a 15.4% market share, which is actually down from 15.6% in May. Tesla is second with 13.6% share, up 1 percentage point from 12.6, but down 1.9 points compared to Q1. In the same period, BYD grew from 14% market share to its current 15.4% market share. But personally, Jose shares these numbers with you, but I don't think that those numbers there are all that relevant, simply because plug-in hybrids, in my view, they're still internal combustion engine vehicles. And I don't personally count those as electric cars. You're still carrying around a gas tank. You're still carrying around an engine. It's not really the future. I mean, realistically, it just sort of reminds me of this kind of old school stuff where you have you have all the buttons down here and you have the screen up here. That to me is not really a smartphone. Do you think it's a smartphone? Would you call it a smartphone? Yeah, I don't. That's just my opinion though. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. As always, I do say some controversial things and you'll feel free to disagree with me or agree with me regardless of whatever your opinions are. Now, one of the things that Jose pointed out is that BYD has too many models competing in the same segment. And actually, if you look at the models they sell, they do. They have quite a few models that are almost the same exact car. Very, very similar. I personally think that's a mistake. I think that's going to cost them. And you can see right now, they do make a profit from EVs now. Didn't in the past, they do now. But their profit is actually very small. It's only about 1/10 the profit that Tesla is making on their cars. I think BYD would be better off streamlining production, narrowing down the number of models they make, and therefore being able to make more money per vehicle sold. And that's generally what happens. As you can see, that strategy is exactly what Tesla has done, and they've made a lot of money from that. But that said, Tesla maybe have gone too far the other way, really only having 2 models right now. That could change, though, within the next 12 months. I firmly believe Tesla will have a Tesla Model A or a Model 2 on the market in China within 12 months. That's my prediction. I'm sticking with it. And if you want to know why, I'll put a link in the description to the video that I made about the Tesla Model A. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.